Just out of curiosity, have you guys been enjoying the visuals of the recent videos? I've been kind of new computer. I got two new editors I've been using, and I've been kind of enjoying it. So I don't know because I feel like they look a lot better. My visuals. So all right, good. I wanted to make sure because editor Naya's back. No more like me just being lazy on cam. I have three jobs and have to work out twice a day. Don't have time. I'm in the lab now. I'm editing. I'm doing my thing. Okay.
A little something like eeny, meeny, right from the beginning. Smoke a little pack, but the pack never timid. Church, but I'm seeing it. Curse when I'm winning. She need a new back. When it's back, I'ma bend it. Slap up some guinea, pass me the hen it. Watch a nigga black slip a yak, I'ma quit it. Swerve in the Benzie, perfume is Fendi. Bob and move fast, real fast, like I'm Ricky. That's cause I'm pretty, came from the dirt. Showing up a nigga can't handle the work. Ooh, y'all, swing with it first. Young white girl like a ramble.
But I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about our favorite and what we think the best fights in Tower of God are, and then some of the worst ones or the ones that we're not too fond of. Because I picked the two that I thought I want to pick, and I didn't even pick my favorite ones. I would say or favorite examples. No, I did for the worst fight. And by the way, I'm about to say this here today. I put out a set of two videos. The worst moment in Tower God, the best moment in Tower God. The best fight in Tower God, the worst fight in Tower God. Hey, which one did y'all niggas watch more? Oh, you're being negative. Oh, no. Which one did y'all niggas watch more? When I was being positive? Or when I had some shit to get off my chest? Hmm. Interesting. Just interesting. That's all I'm saying. I know how it works. Hatred, hatred, the dark side, it feels good sometimes. I understand. That's all right. Look at them lurking with the hatred in their heart. You said, "Look, I watched both." To look at me. You said, "I watched both, bro, all the way through." But anyway, Traumray, the T.O.G. equivalent of Ganhavara, as for a lot of people. Jeez, already, eh? I watched the best one because that time was peak T.O.G. for me. I feel that. I'm not mad at that. See, that's not my favorite fight, but I think it's probably I think you can make the case it's the most iconic, most important fight of the series, and that's why I went with that one. My favorite fight is actually Rand versus Inieto, if not Rand versus Anak. It's one of those two. Classic. I got my reasons, but I want to know what your guys' favorite fights were. I want to talk about y'all because I picked mine. I didn't pick mine. I picked Dajaha versus Bam, but I didn't even say everything I wanted to say in the video because I was strapped for time a little bit, but it really is a good moment. And I think for a lot of it you had to be there when it was happening weekly before the advent and the boom of Fast Pass, right? So Fast Pass made discourse and discussion a lot harder to do, but yeah. What's up? What's up, Vince? You hopping in? You can hop in if you want. Let me know. Anything involving Rand? I mean, yeah, my favorite three fights, two Rands and two of them is JVG, the Jovial Grace fight with Kaiser and Name Hunter in the lane. So Bad versus Elaine. I like the way that he was on the blue orb, bobbing and weaving through her weapon, needle inventory. I thought it was really well done. Finnear comes with the bites. He had those like sweeping kicks. I thought it was clean. I like that moment. And I like and it ties into one of my favorite Tower of God character moments, and one that comes a little bit before that. So like I have my reasoning, my personal reasoning for it, but I didn't want to put too much emphasis on that fight because ultimately I think Bam kind of smoked there. It was just a little wolf thing he had to deal with. It wasn't really a fight. He was stronger. You know what I'm saying? Um, you will? Okay. I'm hop in Discord. I hope it works because I've been having some audio issues. So we should be good though. My favorite fight is, as I said, is Yuri versus Karaka. It's just out of nowhere and the raw thing that happened in Tower got to that point. I could feel that. I actually watched both. Actually, for a second, I thought I only watched the worst. Oh, Abdel, my guy. He out here watching all the content. You love to see it. I'll be in boardroom. Yeah, Vince is not gonna work because I didn't even hear the sound effect, bro. It's not gonna work. I'm not gonna be able to hear him. That's crazy. I don't know what I did with this shit. Yeah. Hold on, Vince. I'll have to find a way for me to hear you because I'm not gonna be able to hear you. I don't know why my Discord does this sometimes, but it's stupid. But give me a sec. I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. Whew. Now, does anybody know how to do things? No, I didn't mean to do that. Jin stuff with the cabin was great, especially considering neither of them was that bloodlust and didn't really want to kill each other. Last train station guardian. I mean, top three fights are Nak versus Ram versus Elaine and Yuri versus Karaka. I'm not mad at either of those choices. I like all of those. Um,
Oh, do you, dude?
wait, I can hear Glam.
You
That's good
can
with me.
hear Glam.
Oh, I can hear you too. There we go. I
There
thought
you go.
I thought I couldn't hear nobody. I didn't even do anything. We were just not talking.
Yeah,
Well,
we
you
just
said
not talking.
you said hold on, so I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, I didn't say nothing. I just came in here to make my one joke. Then I'll wait for you to finish.
Stream, can y'all hear them? I don't even know if they can hear you.
Hey, how you doing, Vince?
What's going on, Glam?
I'm chilling, bro.
Can y'all hear them? Yeah, they can hear you. I can see you taking my
Okay,
screen now.
cool,
Let's
cool, cool.
go. Did I solve the
Forcing
issue?
this man to do technical edits.
Okay, but how come none of y'all picked the Mule Love fight? That's what I want to know. See, it was a
Bam
trap.
versus Mule Love.
It was a trap.
OG.
It was a trap.
OG.
None of y'all picked.
Oh.
None of y'all picked Mule Love, and now I'm offended. So now we got to fight. Why? I didn't even pick it. I don't even know why.
Not
You know
picking
what?
mule love is a microaggression.
That's how you should be offended. You didn't pick the classic Jing Sung versus Caliban. Don't you
Oh,
know that was
God.
a modern classic?
When he said he's a technician, I remember.
Me too.
That was not. It was alright. It was alright. I don't dislike it. It's just not. You
Nah,
can't
bro.
call your own fight a
Nah.
classic, bro. So apparently,
That was funny. That was the funniest thing ever. He said it's a
apparently,
classic. I said what?
unfortunately, to break K-fob, I was told that what he meant that it was classic in terms of being a martial arts hand-to-hand fight. He didn't mean a classic battle. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I know the commenter was just capping, but
I mean, no, it sound believable, but he still lied either way. But that sound more believable though.
okay, fair enough. Rang on the best fights. Ran versus the Train Guardian was cool to me. That was good. I think I should put the Lance one of the first times. Alpha Scan's still not out. I checked this morning actually for that in Kubera. Even though Kubera, I think I record usually Wednesday or Thursdays. Manga Dex gets it about an hour or two before Kubari. I realized. I like reading it on Kubari just because the logo that I have for the Kubera thing is white and it looks good on the black background. Jefferson Calvin was great, especially considering I just read that. I think this is a fight I look back on a little better just because I like Caliban now. But I think when I first read this fight didn't move me in almost any capacity.
Caliban.
Yeah.
You
How
didn't
you
like
doing?
Bam versus Raflejo, or however you pronounce his name,
Oh, that was when he. I'm a
Mister
B
Mister
rank.
B.
I'm a B
Yeah,
rank.
B rank.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. Why did he lie to me, bro?
Yeah, he wasn't real. He just over there talking out the crease of his ass, just making shit up. You hate to see it, but one that I like. Well, see, we can get into action sequences and more group battles if you want. I don't have to necessarily focus on 1v1s because I do like the crown game a lot, even as though it's super early. Just Anak, Lori,
Mm-hmm.
all of them and stuff. You can hear loud and clear. Okay, they can hear y'all. Remember, SAU said it's probably a classic. Remember when the octopus said it's somewhat different from. Yes, I remember. Real quick, can we talk about how disrespectful Ryan was when he's fighting a knack? Of course we can. He won that fight. He threw it. He threw it because he fell for her provocation or whatever. She did something and he got mad. I'm like, you already won. You don't have to do this. you, you hate to see it though.
He couldn't let it slide. His
Yeah.
personality is really bad, which makes him fun.
I see this fight right here. You love versus everyone. This might be the best battle. versus
Viola versus
Sicarus
everyone.
versus.
I might
versus,
never forgive Sue for off-screening Rack versus Iniesta. Unnamed Hunt.
Yeah, that should have
Oh,
been
I was hyped.
that should have been shown. But you see
I was
that
hyped.
deception? Where's the release points in the arm? You see that shit? That's goat, man. That's greatness. That's iconic.
Change up.
Yeah, and he actually did some. He actually did some level of damage to Indiana too. I just remembered that.
Yeah, he
Really
did.
it.
Well, they fought like when Anya was done, he's like, "Yo, you're like strong or whatever." I was like, "Bro, are you kidding me?" And it's doubly so like, "Are you kidding me?" Because like we don't forget that Rack was presented and presents himself as what? A combatant.
Hunter.
Exactly. Not a I'm a cool bro dude, gives you these speeches. Like that's
Indiana
all
pulled
great.
up and then Rack
Broski now.
punched this dude in the brain in
Mhm.
big form as well, and then he cut away and the fight was over.
I don't know. Any defenders for ban versus white? Do people defend that shit? There's a couple people who are on my thing saying how much they like the fight and stuff like that, but
That's
Ban him
I-
from the chat. Get him out of here.
that fight stinks.
the only thing that I can say is only one person made a point that I'm like I can see this. I can get why you see this. Why you say this. Everyone else was just being like I like it because you're a hater. pretty much. Pretty much.
I like it because I like it.
What
Nah.
about
My favorite thing is always, you know what? Maybe you just need to put down the series. Like what? What you talking
Maybe
about,
you
man?
need to just lower your expectations and not have such lofty ideas of what Sue should do.
That is kind of true though.
You haven't written a 400 chapter manhwa before. Where are your credentials at?
Hey man, I got published works though. Hold on, what about Aguera versus Hots? That little clash. They trade elbows
Okay.
and shit. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, that wasn't
But
clean.
they wait, he pulled out the pocket knife on his ass.
Yeah,
He thought he was Mihawk. It was crazy.
yeah, and that Hots showed him that hey, I've been trading, nigga. You trying to survive off that blood? This was a good exchange. That was like this little exchange. This was cool. Helljo fight cool. I was gonna ask about anybody who thought about how do you think about like Rex showcase, I guess, against Helljo and whatnot.
We consider that a fight?
I guess it's a one-sided beatdown. You just
Yeah.
but
Like
Beatdowns
that
are fun.
fight, that I guess quote unquote fight to me is like when I'm watching Vegito versus Buhan. It was just
okay.
it's just a beatdown.
Hots versus Shalal. I actually do like that little clash. That was good.
Yeah.
Where have they see? I was hoping they would be back at some point by now. Even though we quote unquote, you know, Tower God head Cannon gonna get this Princess War.
That's
Some
never
point.
happening.
How about
Your
how about
expectations for the
Hulk?
Princess War. No, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
how about Hulkin versus Bam? Anyone like that from the Dollar Show?
Eh.
It was fine. It
Serviceable.
was fine.
You know,
That was
Yeah.
more so about the test than the actual fight, I think. Like, because they weren't really throwing hands between the two of them.
I feel it. Where's
How
Karaka?
about
There he is.
Did y'all like the one-on-ones we just got? Like I don't know, like 40 chapters ago, I guess.
Somebody had asked me about my opinion was with the Yasaracha fight and Yama. It's not moving me. It's one of those things where like he kind of ruins it with one point. Like I really don't dislike like the choreography, what they were doing and stuff. It just I'm like you already planted a primordial fear inside of him. I'm like stop.
yeah, it's kind of.
But you know what
Uh,
fight is GOAT? Yama versus Kel Hella.
I actually like that fight. It's very pretty. And he letting them arrows fly. Swords of Revealing Light was going crazy, bro.
Did you like my boy Submerged Fish fight with the was it Haigh-Rankers or whatever?
Nah. Put him in the acid black hole. That was the movie.
Yeah.
He's too good for a fight like that.
And Vacant Hell getting one shotted. Did you like that fight?
Yes. She stinks.
how about
She got hit with the Cassandra Soul Calibur spear and steel. Like what happened?
Mhm.
yeah? How about
Did Asuka
Yewa
get a true fight?
versus
I don't know.
Angel? Yewa versus Angel is another nice one. I feel like.
It's a good moment, I think. More so than I think. I think of it more so as a moment, I guess. And I'm like, ooh, great fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, see, I feel like Tower of God has a lot of those, to be honest.
Yeah, I
And a
like,
lot of good clashes or little
I like
moments.
comparing those kinds of fights like Dragon Ball to like Dragon Ball moments. Because to me, like Yua versus Angel reminds me a lot of when Gohan goes Super Saiyan 2 versus Cell. It's not really a fight at that point after he goes Super Saiyan 2. It's just a good moment.
Yeah.
Same with Yua when she like flies and stuff.
I feel it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not mad at that. Honorable mention Wagner versus Kasano.
That's
Lol.
That's not.
Pokemon.
Antimatter Shinsu
Lol.
bombs. Now Elaine to me has the best choreography because I never seen him do that. The way Bam was like weaving through that shit.
Yeah, that was really clean.
When he was weaving, and then they had the fucking droplets of Shinsu in the air that he was looking at too. Boy,
and his his like leg swings were nice. Did I read the recent chapter of Tower of God? 529 is the last thing that I read. We're still in the Let me not say nothing, but yeah. Orekus is Pinky the Body. Karaka is peak comedy. Come on, bro. Why y'all do this to me? It's like hurt.
Using his pinky at 1% as well.
What is he supposed to do against that fucking freak? That monster. That demon.
You just weren't cut different. Karaka wasn't cut different.
He wasn't one of the chosen ones, bro.
Yeah, unfortunate.
He got one last chance in this arc to really show me something. But I might see. Look up Bam charging in. Like it's clean, getting cut up. I was like this. I don't know. This fight's just visually appealing to me.
That's when everybody was on a level playing field.
Yeah,
it's different now.
Well, he's stronger than her, obviously, but still, it's not like.
See, but he was fighting on her field.
Yeah, and by her terms, and plus she had at least a good technique and skill to use against him with the teeth of the wolf not being strong enough to pierce Ranker's skin, and doesn't even stop. Even if you defeat her, she has to let the command do the command herself type.
Which is, you know what? Talking about this, like I said, always just makes me feel like I don't know why people thought we were so crazy for asking for the things we got for, because not like they not in the story, and they came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Actually, if you're asking about recent Kubera, I read that too already, by the way. Just out of curiosity. But yeah, see the water droplets that you're talking about, Glam. It's clean.
Yep. That shit was goaded.
Yeah.
I think the only time that I would argue that
you see that Matrix he hit? Come on, stop playing with me, bro. Bring this back. You see, he hit the Matrix, hit the Neo.
The only time I'd say the choreography was as creative as that is Bam versus Data Jihad, but the action itself wasn't as crisp. But just the moves that they were both using were so different and unique, and comboed well with their other abilities.
It's how I kind of described the Caliban and White exchange. It's clean. Yeah. There's very pretty panels and cool attacks being used, but does it flow?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could look at it. Even with the Bam and White fight, I could look at this panel. This is a good panel. This is a good exchange here. But you know how like Toriyama does his fights. It has a certain way your eyes just transition from, okay, this is obviously the initial point where he flared his ki and then took off and then punched Frieza and then Frieza. Like you could always tell what happened first. This is one of the fights where I think he was doing that on a really good level. It has the fight has good flow, and you can tell the actions of sequences happening pretty clearly. Later on, I think he starts to depend on particle effects and overlays and flashy shit to make up for the fact he's not doing it. But it's not tricking me, is what I'm saying. I noticed
every fight now, I'd say, is a copy paste of Karaka versus Yuri. But the problem is that we've seen Karaka versus Yuri already, so it's not as cool anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, here's the little part with Hats. Uses his ignition weapon he didn't use, which ended up being Donghei. Damn, this one was ruined.
That little confrontation was dope too, but he just didn't do anything.
Because you really he's one of the ones you really root for because he trains. He's not a part of the RDA family. He's got the sword. You want him to be able to still use it in a higher Shinshu density, and then it's just like, what did he do, bro?
Plus, when he said that the shit wasn't even ignited yet, you're like, hold on.
Yeah.
How raw is the sword?
Yeah. It is what it is, though. Khun amount of stamina white. Yes. I thought Campus Liborg was pretty well done. It's not done yet in terms of what's on thing though. But yeah, that was okay, I guess. I'm not. I don't know. I cared for different reasons other than how it actually plays out. That makes sense. Just remember that 106 is the last thing that's online right now. That's when Caliban's quote unquote out with the Shinsu thing. But that him combining the water vapor and electricity for the electrical storm was cool. I like that. I want more shit like that.
See, I agree with you. See, because I'm someone at this point, I don't know, like, I guess here's kind of my problem with fights, and I'll say this a personal problem rather than an author thing. I don't know how y'all feel about this type of stuff, but I don't care for, let's say, like, massive scaling of fights. I only need like that once or twice in a series, to be honest. Where it's just like, oh, look at this. It's so giant what's happening. Like, look at them. They destroying. Look how big this beam is. I don't really care about that when I'm watching a fight. I care about like what's the uniqueness and creativity plus the dialogue of what they're doing.
No, I agree with that. Like like scales and stuff is important. Like, oh, like I do want to know if you're swapping hands on the sun, like you guys are strong enough to do that, right? Like, that's cool to know to have in the back of your mind just because it helps kind of contextualize things. But I'm like you, like I do not need to see someone get hit through 50 buildings to be like, this is a good fight. It could be very realistic, hand to hand, normal. To the point where like after a minute of fighting, both people are fucking tired. Because it's hard to fight at your maximum for a long time. People don't even get that. Even something as simple as them exerting themselves physically for like minutes at a time is very difficult. You ever watch a UFC fight? How long do they swing like that?
Yeah,
Not
I think the only series that makes characters fight for obscene lengths of time and they're always at their peak is honestly One Piece is the only one I can remember because for some reason stamina doesn't affect power output in that series unless your name is Law.
I guess. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah, I
So
think I think for me, what I think the major problem is when you try to like do too much with like just the scale of how big the fight you want to be. It kind of takes away from the fight. Not that I don't want to see, like you said, nah, like I don't want to see like how strong they actually are. But
but
if you're
that's not
doing
the
that
most
the
important
entire
thing.
fight,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you're doing that the entire fight, it's just taking away from the actual fight itself. Because it's just like because Tower of Gods is just like, bro, like so that, like I said, we sometimes we be watching it or reading it, and we just like, what is actually happening sometimes? Like, what did they just do? Like,
Remember how we always say like, one of our major criticisms for Tokyo Ghoul is when they're fighting with their Kakugen or whatever the fuck is, it's hard to tell what's actually happening in the panel. Like I don't know who's doing what. I just know that someone
yeah,
got hurt.
I'm reading that again right now. His biggest problem, and I see a lot of mangakas kind of have this problem to me when they're drawing fights.
Mhm.
It feels like they skip steps. Like the transition from one move to another doesn't 100% make sense, or you would actually want to see that.
Mhm.
So it like makes sense, even if it's like a smaller little panel. Like if you do DBZ or a certain choreography, it's just like when he's about to throw a punch, right? You might see him do the cock back for the punch. You might see his left foot pivot in a small little panel, and then you see him throw the punch.
Mhm.
Like, but what they do is that the character will run at them and he'll throw a punch, but you didn't see any of the action that took place before that. Now you're just seeing the punch come out of his hand.
Yeah,
And if you don't have like the art to necessarily like effectively do that, it looks wonky.
I agree with that. I'm mad at that. But yeah, like in this fight, actually, I would argue he's still trying to trying to do a little bit of choreography here. It's not bad. Actually, now looking at it,
Yeah, yeah, it's been bad. Honestly,
I th- I
I think it's been better at times.
I think this fight, the problem with me is not even how it plays out because it's cool. I actually really like the idea of Yasratra scaring him low key. You know that moment where it says that he screamed like he was trying to like expel all the fear, but it came all right
Yeah.
back. That moment is completely cheapened when I learned about the little primordial fear fang, blah blah blah, whatever. Did I go? That looked like it's not real. It's fugazi. It wasn't organic. You didn't actually put the fear of the feline if you speak into him. You just did some bullshit when he was a kid when he was running away, but cheapens the moment of this fight. So I don't care about it. That's what happens. And
Well, I like he could have did that. I think it's just the way that he executed it didn't
and then it's
help.
like his entire beatdown is completely like kind of like disqualified or just kind of just like meh, it didn't happen because they put a tooth in his chest and now he back to full HP, full MP. I'm like, all right, bro. But
You know how I think
it's a
that could
nice
have been
fight though.
more
It's a nice
effective.
fight though. It's really good looking.
You know how I think that could have been more effective personally. Is if from the moment that Yasaracha appeared on screen that that Yama was feeling off the entire time. Like if he would have like if it's like you would have wrote that like on the paper, just
Mhm.
like just like every time like he's like I don't know what it is, but every time like I look at Yasarashi, it's just weird. Something feel off.
Yeah, it should have
And
happened the
he
first time.
sort of kind of tried to do it, but you have to do it over the span of them
It should
each
have happened the
confrontation they
first
have.
time too. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's
That's the problem.
yeah.
He tried to shoehorn it in while they were fighting.
I'll
He's
give
like,
you a
why
good
can't that
example
you
of
muscle fight?
remember the example I always use of Kaku when Zoro first meets him. And he's like, first, well,
Yeah.
obviously, he first makes a joke, "Are you Usopp?" And he's like, "Oh no, obviously square. No, the square was a square." And he's like, "Oh, I'm a shipwright carpenter." And he's like, "No, you're not." Then later on, when you know he's part of CP9, you're like, that's what Zoro was hinting at. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's how you do shit. Like that's. I think what a lot of authors have become scared to do. I don't know if it's because of the way media is consumed now and things like that. Is they don't want to put something in the story at a point in time that they absolutely refuse to explain for a specified amount of time. So
it's the mystery for mystery's sake shit.
there's that too. But like I said, if I saw hands in Marine form turning black for whatever reason and I did not know why, but then when I get the explanation and I see it in the new role, I start to see it, I'm totally fine with that. It comes full circle. I
It
might be
also fixes a
frustrated
lot
in
of
the
Supreme
moment.
Court issues.
Yeah, I might be frustrated in the moment, but when it's explained, I go, oh, so that's what I was seeing. You see what I'm saying? That's how
Plus,
you,
you're gonna
in
get
my
the
opinion, he
explanation right
shoehorns a
afterwards.
lot of shit in there, like right in the last second. And because of the way stories are told today, I think a lot of people are okay with that. But we like the hints and the setup and the little sprinkle early.
Right.
We like that. I don't think a lot of
Because
people
because
care
it
about
just
that.
makes more sense. Yeah, it feels like you planned it out better. Like you said, you don't have to reveal it in that moment.
Mhm.
If you wait 20, 30 chapters and come back and explain it, honestly, in some ways, it makes you look better.
Yeah.
But you
You know
trying
what
to
it is
do it
for
in the
that?
moment sometimes, the way they try to do it, it don't work.
It's the
Mhm.
typical thing that we always bitch about. It's the not using the artistry to show and not tell, and they feel like they have to use words to do it. Because to be honest, if Oda had done that for the Marine, for example, in particular, nobody would have batted an eye. They'd be like, "What the fuck is this black shit?" And then that'd be it.
Yeah,
And then you get it. And if he had introduced it then, you would have gotten it right after when Rayleigh explains what it is to Luffy.
exactly. It wasn't even that far away from after, but I don't know. Well, after I guess after the flashback, but yeah, so but still. But I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things where it's just a bygone of another era, you know? Because I even saw Simi today complaining a little bit today about the My Hero thing. He's like, all this text, and I'm like, bro, I totally understand where he's coming from because it's weird to hear it from me because I like reading, but it's just like I do still think about the type of medium I'm experiencing at the time, right? So if I'm playing a video game, I kind of want my story and gameplay to align a certain way. If I'm reading a novel and you are this descriptive, not a problem. But in a graphic novel where I'm looking at the pictures too, you should be telling me a story with the visuals as much, if not less than the actual words. Because then what's the point of you drawing it? Just write it out
Yeah.
then. You see what I'm saying? Like I don't understand. Like that's why, despite people giving Fire Force all the shit it gives it, I'm like that nigga is a incredible visual storyteller, and I will never let y'all take it away from him. Whether you
Yep.
like Soul Eater or don't like Soul Eater, he can tell his story without having to actually type out everything, the wall of text, and I always respect Okubo for that. So,
We want pictures, not words. You know what it is.
what did you say?
We want pictures, not words.
This
Yes,
man is
exactly.
getting destroyed by the Matrix.
One of my favorite moments from Yama is when they found out Yasuo on the other side of the wall and the Habo started getting hyped. That was raw, but then it's like, you know, it didn't pay off. It's because authors don't trust their readers to be smart. They're not wrong sometimes, but still, don't baby. I can understand that. Understand with a certain degree. Preach Nai, I've said that. I'll say it again. The Bleach True Zangetsu reveal, that was actually a good thing. Actually, one of the things that I did think Kubo set up really well was that like Quincy reveal and the Yuhabak thing. So another Togashi stray, yeah, of course, every time.
He is a culprit.
He, he's a tell don't show ass nigga. So
Oda's getting there too, to be honest.
honestly, he's been there for a while. For being
Yeah.
real, it's been a while since he's been like that. Ever since you could tell how he started to change the way he structures his paneling a little bit
Yep.
and try to cram info in there. He's been doing it a lot. I'm not gonna act like he hasn't.
One thing I wish that a lot of authors would focus on in fights when they're specifically when they're technical is footwork of characters. Because that's a
Ghost
big component of fights.
Gosu is one of the only series I've seen them emphasize the placement and planting of feet for attacks.
Yep.
Off the top of my head. Off the top of my head.
It's mainly for things like stances. I think for a lot of cases, mainly stories about swordsmanship should include that. Because footwork is paramount. Because I think one of the best examples that you can look at for footwork, and especially in animation, is if anybody is a Star Wars fan, watch Ahsoka versus Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm.
That is a footwork extravaganza, boy. That shit is goaded.
Which is really good because that was motion capture too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
They had Ray Park is in there from all as well,
Exactly.
so that's
Yes.
probably
Yes.
a little bit.
Yes. Because he was like a stunt art double person
Yeah, he
beforehand,
played
or martial
Maul
design.
in the prequels, and he
Yeah.
played Snake Eyes for the GI Joe movies as well.
I'm not a GI Joe guy, so.
Well, yeah, that's why his fights were good. The acting, well, not acting, not so much, but
But But yeah, this fight honestly is a good visual spectacle though. The Yama and Yasracha one. It just I think it's meaningless. I think that's my problem, especially because now I know Yasracha is like probably like not trying to take Yama out. He's kind of protecting the Baylords in some shape or form. So it's hard for me to take that fight even as a fight because I'm like you're just kind of trying to get him to run back to his cage, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably my problem with that fight. But if we don't have any other ones that are like your favorite or great ones that you could think of, even if it's from the first season, even if it's just like something like Ren or Yuri, actually Yuri, when Yuri messed up the purple Dementor and Pedro, that was good. The
Yeah.
Shoryuken, that was clean.
One thing that always gets me about season one is when they're doing the crown game and this man Khun speed blitzes everybody, and then that just doesn't happen ever again. I was like, where did this? What happened to that? Where did that go?
You're not
That's one thing
nice.
that always gets me.
See, I kind of honestly, I kind of wish I had more moments like with team battles or stuff like that, like the Quattro Blitz versus Hats and what they were supposed to be
Yeah.
doing, and how Hats was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hold them down so y'all can attack," even though they didn't do it. But I wish there was more stuff like that
Or
going on.
yeah, like the Arlene's hand fight when they're in there with what's the name? Hor Yang, Novik, and
Yeah, yeah,
Rand,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or when Bam is there too. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was a good team setting, even though it was more limited people, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I like stuff like that. Like I'm trying to impede his movements
Mm-hmm.
with you, and it's like, oh, you're trying to set up this attack. I can only buy you like 2 minutes, like shit like that. That's always fun for me.
Okay.
Wish there's more of that going on, especially since there's so many people around
This
all
is
the time.
also a
Like,
story that almost immediately puts emphasis on the idea of teamwork and position and doesn't even really kind of um carry it out. Although there is a statement I remember saying that becomes more important the higher you go up the tower. So maybe it's because they were low
I
enough it
mean,
didn't matter.
we'll have to see.
We'll
I don't
see.
know. I ain't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But
Seems like
I
the
mean, I
higher
guess
up.
technically we did see it with the the ending to the white fight. I guess.
Mhm. Khun
Yeah.
decided he wanted to be inverse Todoroki. Todoroki better, not even close. I'm not a Todoroki fan. I like Aguero more than it.
Comparing two piles of garbage. I mean, what?
Aguero, I don't know, man. Just bring back his methodical rawness. Like I want some of that, like
Let him
Kun
be
family
fucking conniving with it.
conniving,
Yeah.
maniacal planning. But I
He's
guess because
cool.
Bam is good boy, he can't do that no more. So
He's Bam's mom now.
mhm.
You just gotta accept it. There's no.
Yeah,
His mom.
yeah. Stop being his mom. Oh God, it's just I don't know. They've removed a lot of the things about that character that I care about. Like the only thing that remains, I will say remains, is that he's not dumb. He's smart. But then again, like that's the thing. I didn't say he's smart. He's not dumb. Like
I I honestly think Bam limits him because when Bam's there, like Khun at his best, he uses whatever he needs to. Like he'll kill people, like he'll do whatever he needs to win. With Bam there, he's pretty much not allowed to do a
and the
lot of what
story
he's good
framed it
at.
as a change for the better. So nothing we can do
This
about
is an
that.
outdated complaint too, but bring back my boy's briefcase, please.
Yeah,
Like
that's not
fuck.
that's not coming back. To be fair, he helped White harvest the souls in every one of these battle pretty conniving. That is true. He has his moments. It's just like it almost like he remembers occasionally, like, oh, okay, yeah, he's supposed to be kind of like a part of the Kun family, a little conniving. Like, I still like what he did with the Windbird core and that Lopo be a branch leader. I thought that was still really good in terms of showcasing his intelligence, even though it was a joint feat with Shibisu. 'Cause I think he found the location where LaFave was hiding or something. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but that dollar show stunt on Rachel Aguero, he's not there no more. He's gone. Like, where's
You
that
know,
nigga? Where's him?
you know what it is too. That they kind of lack the individuality that they used to have. Everybody in the group is tied in to Bam's wants and needs, and you could do that to an extent, but they should still keep the traces of their. See, I'm about to say their soul, like they lost their soul, but they need to keep their essence
Bam
of
absorbed his
themselves.
soul.
They don't feel like 100% themselves. It's like everything they do isn't tied into what Bam needs and what Bam wants. But it's just like these are people who are still supposed to have their own reasonings for climbing up the tower
Mhm.
that seems to have completely gotten lost because
Yeah,
everything is about what we need. to do to help Bam. Like, and they're friends, so like I get it to an extent. You want to help your friend, but you shouldn't lose. Like, his goal was to become the Khun family leader. So like, he don't even need to get stronger for the sake of Bam. He needs to get stronger for the sake of himself,
Yeah.
just so he can accomplish that goal.
Shout out Hatsu and his whole goal being trying to help Ban.
Nah, bro.
uh,
That's the new wave. Oh, bro, been at. Excuse me. My problem with Khun is that too much of his character is focused on Bam. Like, what the hell happened to him becoming the family head? There you go. To be fair, that's read that right. Yeah, harvest the souls. How many times you could have said I'll plan a thing and do conniving things, but it never goes that way. They leave the planning and hire thinking to my girl Hwaru Yoon, who has to monitor these children. Facts. I do think Kun hold himself back, not Bam. The dude never learned to use spears properly because he's weird about his daddy. Bam is like 4 tiers above the rest of his group. Nah, Vince, you're right the first time. They lost their souls. That's my job better. Couldn't stay effing up. Where's my TOG Iceman? His friends don't want him. Don't have, wait. His friends don't want him off deal. It being the king. Wank. I feel that. You know what I'm gonna say? You know what? I think I have a good idea. Kind of a good comparison. I don't know if you, Glam. Do you like Harley Quinn? Just out of curiosity, before I go into this.
The Kaylee Coco show.
Just in general, the character.
Okay. In general, no.
Not really. Okay. I'm not particularly a Harley Quinn fan like that, but there's times where I can enjoy Harley. And I would argue Harley is, to me, always more interesting when she's not dealing with the Joker. When she's divorced from him or not with him. And kind of away from Ivy, too, because now she's trying to make Ivy like her other, like, you know, everyone kind of like a two love interest, so to speak. Like, there's Selena and Talia, like, Ivy being like the backup one for, you know.
I think for me with Harley, this is a tangent, but I think for me, I like her as the sidekick to Joker, but not necessarily like the love interest. Like, just like I'm okay with her being a
I feel
henchman,
that.
but I think she'd be best completely on her own. No Suicide Squad,
That's exactly
no
what I was going to say,
Ivy.
basically.
Yeah,
I think Aguero's problem is because of his connection to Bam. He's never going to be able to really shine and showcase who he is. The same way that I think Harley, so to speak, is more dull under the Joker and a brighter diamond when she's doing whatever literal nonsense shenanigans she came up with on the spot.
yeah.
Like, I want a burrito, and she fucking
Throws the
hammers the
burrito.
door down and asks for a burrito. Like, that's the Harley that I want to see. So I think I think Kubera is held back. I think Aguero is held back by that. So that's all. When Kun was the leader of his gang when he was separated from Bam early season 2, it was so much more interesting. Yeah, I do think that a lot of times Bam being our point of view and perspective just dulls certain things because it's
I
like
mean,
hold on, because it's like before I
there
forget
you go.
because Bam is a good boy type character that the story always tries to keep kind of pure, even when he's doing something that's not necessarily like that. Like him killing off like some of those random beastkin and things of that nature, and his like juvial, darker moments and stuff. We almost
Mhm.
pretend it don't happen. Like to me, Bam isn't as good of a person as the story tries to present him as. And I think when you do that with certain characters, you don't allow their actions to actually, have agency and sway and be seen as, morally corrupt or a little ethically gray. You hurt the story, and that's the problem with Bam. Nothing he does is wrong. It's always right. It's okay. Oh, I did this thing, my master. Don't worry, Bam. I'll hug you up and like no one ever holds him accountable for anything. So, anyways, that's kind
Yeah.
of how I feel.
I mean, in this case for Bam, I actually disagree with the notion that at least in the beginning of season 2 that he held Kun back because Kun, when he met back up with Bam, he still had a lot of great moments, especially in Dollar Show.
Okay, yeah.
Name Hunt was another one where he shone a lot. I'd say where he started going downhill, I'd honestly say was around Floor of Death, to be honest. And I
Okay.
don't necessarily think that was a Bam issue. I think that was more so Sue's general writing issue.
Hmm.
Now that was because it was becoming more Bam centric, but I don't think it was because of proximity to Bam in terms of character. I think it was just general writing.
Okay. No, I hear that. That makes sense to me. Did anyone care about Cha versus Kendrick? Was that good to anyone?
Shaw, hilarious.
No, we're not fucking
Who's
with that.
Kendrick again?
Kendrick Dial was the guy in the chair from Yes Ratchet's group.
He said,
Oh.
"Who's Kendrick?" I'm crying.
So the story
Nah,
right
that's
now
just not.
never punishes Bam for anything he does. The crazy thing is that little extra tidbit about him never kind of being punished is something that I always knew, but I really thought about when I was explaining how much I don't like Rex from Xenoblade. Because because Bam may not get punished, but Rex is literally rewarded for doing the wrong thing, which might be more egregious depending on your point of view. like 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 Naya, don't take a fucking last second heave shot with 6 seconds on the clock left from half. Oh, went in. Like like he gets rescued. The dumbest thing and gets rewarded for it. Never learns the lesson. So yeah, I wanted to go to the white and Caliban part. Here we go. I think it's over here. No, maybe no. Too no, it's too early. I think it's before. It's before the second part of the wall. Yeah, it's around here probably. There we go. Let me see what the chat's saying. Yes, SIU will never do this, but imagine if Khun has to separate from Bam because he's too weak and have him go on his own soul searching mini arc to truly explore who he is and when he's independent of Bam. That would be a good idea, but again, it's not happening. Do you think SIU has it in him to turn Bam into a sort of villainous character at any point in the story? I don't think he does.
Absolutely not.
I don't think he does. And I think his unwillingness, it's not even his unwillingness to turn him into like a villain character, but at least to truly have people see him as something truly bad. Not just because
He's
Jihad
over.
told them some prophecy or whatever. Like Bam being here is not a good thing, and to some degree you can say that because like the people who are, but see, it's like you saying, "Hey, go capture this criminal." Like I guess whatever, I'm gonna do my job because I'm part of the army, but I have no actual feelings toward this person. I'm just doing what I'm doing. So usually when the Jihad Empire is after Bam and company, they don't have any like. I have to take out this irregular because he could be like that's not really what's happening. Only really Caliban because Caliban uses an irregular, but still. Anyways, um, Bam Deadass was only with Endorsi. Oh shit. What's okay with it? It's good as long as he continue to follow Rachel. Enough said. Exactly. That's a good. That's a moment two people don't bring up enough. Where like she's like, "Yo, my name, help me." He's like, "Listen, yeah, I mean," and I was like, "Wow, bro, help her." I don't want him to turn Bam into an Aaron type character. I won't be able to stand the Jaegerist and TOG. We don't need that. 100% we don't need that. But yeah, so White kind of shows out here a little bit this fight with Caliban, but again, I still stand what I said earlier. See this panel here, this explosion? Really cool explosion. Really cool looking panels and stuff. But it's just no flow to the battle too. And I argue with a lot of White's sword strikes to make it seem like they're coming out of nowhere. He lets them come from the randomness of angles. He just kind of destroys them in there. I don't know if anyone else got that impression.
No, I felt that.
Okay. Because all this considered, I did enjoy this little exchange with Caliban and White, but again, it's not moving me like that. Because White was, yeah, see, White was cutting through the essence of bravery energy and things that I like too, but yeah, it is what it is. But now, yeah, his stamina, stamina, his mana, his MP. But okay, all right, now I want to get negative. What fights stink?
Don't get
Bam
me
what,
versus.
are the, what are the fights that stink?
don't get me started on the one we all think sucks.
You can start. We can start there, because that is the one that I chose for my video. So you can start there.
That's
Because
all
I
I gotta
actually
say.
want to. Because I actually didn't. I wasn't harsh. I wasn't as harsh on that fight as I could have been. I actually held back
I,
immensely. Go ahead.
No, I actually hated it. Not I even the main reason I really hate it is not even because of the fight stinks. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't like how much like how they use like the whole aircraft and prince thing. To me, it's supposed to be like the battle. It's like it's centered around Rachel versus Wagner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how they use that like some random shit like use that to set up Bam versus White because White wasn't even important in that Arcrafter shit, man. He shows up like what for one panel says he killed the prince and then he goes off screen. Like, it's not that important. I really didn't like how they made that in such a big thing. Like, White wasn't even that important in the killing of Arcrafter and shit, man. Like, that shit annoyed me.
I don't. I think I agree with you. Like, I mean, we talked about it. We're like, we're not. Y'all not friends. Like, what is this? Like, we weren't moved by that. Like that much. I 100% I could agree with that. I think the only thing is I'm okay with White doing whatever he can to get Bam to fight. Whatever
Well,
he has to
yeah,
use, you know? That's the part of it
that
that I'm okay with. It's just the way Bam like took it and how they framed it. I'm like, this is not you didn't set this up well enough to make Bam. And listen, And Miles pointed out something really important. I think it was Miles. I'm sorry if it's someone else though. I think Miles said this. He's like, it's not like Bam like had quote unquote beaten White and said I did it, I avenged them or anything of the sort like that. Like he was not thinking about. He does not care about them niggas, bro. Like that's
And
not
that's
moving me.
like, and this is like a small thing, but this is another like reason I really don't like Bam's annoying is because see, he wants to put every storyline. He wants to shoehorn Bam into every single storyline like he needs to be in
Batman with
there.
DC. Yeah, keep going.
Like you know, he doesn't. Bam could be a sideline for this storyline. Like as you said, White doing that is whatever, right? White doing whatever, but Bam doesn't need to like. He doesn't need to become a main person for the arc crafter Prince thing. Like he doesn't care for them. He could just be a sideline. Like I don't know, man. There's also way better ways to set up the fight. Like you said in your video, why are they doing in the middle of a fucking war, man? This shit's so stinky. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel it. Hold on. Bam versus White, Bam versus Hoken, Bam versus Rankers, Bam versus Dog Commander 1, Bam versus Levi, Bam versus Charlie, all these. Yo, you went in. went in.
You went
Bam.
crazy. You went crazy.
Oh, how about Bam and Yam? Bam and Crocker versus Yam. I don't think I really did not like that fight at all.
Wake him up. And that's a side
Yeah,
mission, bro. Just wake up Yambo. Now,
wake up,
F and
Yam.
Dorsey, the name hunt, she's the most selfish character in the whole series. No wonder people defend her so much. I'm not actually defending her. It's just Bam was really like very dismissive. I actually like. I'm okay with. I don't. I'm rather than Dorsey. I actually feel you on that. I'm not mad at that. You saying that? It was just. It was just like
See
Bam. But the
my
point is that.
problem with that.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Video quick.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying my problem on that though is that kind of like it's the same reason like people the Federation. I'm just like, bro, honestly, and Dorsey just doing what everybody else is doing in the tower. It's just all of a sudden they all have lost that individualness. Because so that's what more people in Tower of God should be like. They should be doing more selfish things for their selfish reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like and like you said earlier, like they always be trying to paint um Bam in a super positive light. But Bam was damn near letting Dorsey out to dry to lose her name and shit like that. He was
Mm-hmm.
perfectly okay with doing that just so he could find out more stuff about Rachel.
It's to
Like
the point they
honestly, that's
framed that
objectively
Aguero,
terrible.
the Shibisu, like using the Viole Grace thing is like, you don't know how it hurts Bam to have to adopt that name. I'm like, oh my god, give it a rest. Jesus Christ. Suck that up, bro.
Bam being selfish is okay. Anybody else is it's bad.
Yeah, like they painted it bad for and the only people who call Bam out for his problem are the Red Witches. That's it. They the
Mm-hmm.
only people that say he's being bad. Everybody else just coddles him.
Mm-hmm. The wife, I don't
But
give a
anyway,
fuck at all. I
back to you.
feel you.
Whatever y'all talking about, Richard.
Not a hypocrite, my girl.
I'd actually say I have more problems with fights that didn't happen that were sort of set up than fights that were just bad.
Hold on.
Oh no.
Let's
Honestly,
finish
I
the
would
white and Bam
argue.
thing first though, before you move on.
Oh, go ahead. Finish that.
I don't hold on. I just want to chat real quick. I didn't like Hassong versus Haracha. The fact that she could have been executed for losing her name. Dorsey, what she's a bomb huge for. Anak herself, so Dorsey did it her own ego, not her. That was me. There was no afterthought. Okay, it was you, Miles. All right, man. So she was a bit egoist. Yeah, I mean, I don't care about the Dorsey thing that deeply. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like the reason that I actually chose this fight is legitimately when I don't know what you guys your personal like you know barometer is for a good fight. I can't pick anyone else. For me, it's gonna depend on the medium, but still, right? Sometimes a fight's execution and choreography could be absolutely kind of mid, but I still understand the stakes and tension and consequences behind if either character loses or whatever. That still makes me extremely emotionally invested. Think the problem with this fight is I think it checks half of one box of all the things that I need for a fight to be interesting, entertaining. Because you can actually have a poorly choreographed fight or a fight I didn't think is that crazy. Case in point, I think Eneru versus Luffy is a very meh fight from a standpoint of what's actually happening in terms of them dodging and punching and the techniques using. I think it's very meh. I just think it's very symbolic of Calgary, blah blah yada. I'm not gonna go into all that right now. But I want to stream. But you get what I'm saying? Like that's why it mattered to me. And it was the ending move was symbolic, ringing with the bell. I think this fight has the weirdest timing I have ever seen for something like this. Like I'm in a good place with Tower God right now. And when I think of this arc, I'm actually like, hey, since it affects the second wall, you know what? It's not even that bad from start to finish. But then I think about this moment, and I'm like, why is this here? It's just the weirdest blemish on this part of the story. Like, this is the weirdest timing. Choreography wasn't moving me. I think it was okay when Bam was first fighting against White a little bit, like here-ish. It was fine, serviceable. So I'm not entertained visually. What are the stakes? Let's be real, okay? Bam was never losing. So was there any tension? No, because Bam was always stronger than this nigga, right? What was the reasoning for this fight? What was the big picture takeaway? I guess we're powering up the main trio, I suppose. I don't know why or why it happened to happen this way. That's why we're doing it. Were there any consequences for any actions that Bam took? Nope. Arya died and he brought that bitch back immediately. What the fuck am I supposed to enjoy here? There was no character growth for Bam. A dark twist, a dark change. Bitch, where?
He's
Niggas,
angry
niggas
at
were making
White.
jokes that his shih tzu turned darker. You didn't get it, bro. They're making fun of the fucking shit. No one was taking that seriously. No character change. Nothing. They're both the same person. Bam has moved on to the next mission. He's not even tired. He's in the suspendium.
And he didn't reflect, and he didn't reflect on it at
He
all.
didn't even
One
say,
thing
"I
that
did it for you guys, my friends, Prince
yeah,
and
see,
Art."
that's
None of
always
that.
a problem I've had with a lot of things in the and like I said, this because this is something he used to do, somewhat. Like when he fought Data Jihad, one reason that kind of works is while he's fighting him, he's reflecting. He did like he does some semi reflection while he's fighting White, but it's not for the reasons that that it should be.
Mhm.
He gets that small little flashback with the phone call where it's just like, oh yeah, Prince Arc is still alive, and that was it. Like they
That's
not, and he's like, oh, it's
uh,
my fault.
Keaton brought up a good point, but the ending was so bad as well. Like Bam dominates him for the whole fight, yet we're supposed to believe that he needs Khun and Max to beat him. Like that makes no sense. Like
Yeah. I probably have him in the fight at any point. It's a dark change. Yeah, that's just not good, man. Bam also Bam at 30. He a grown ass man. Fair enough. Worst part is the lack of anything bad happening for Bam while fighting White. Because I did say this in the video. I don't know if you guys agree with this, right? Let's just say this happened the exact same way it happened, right? And let's say later down the line at some moment, right? The reason why Hajin Sung passes away or gets teleported or trapped in the suspension, whatever could happen to him, happens because he took the time to have this fight and didn't focus on the mission, even though he won. That would be a consequence for him not focusing on the mission and stopping for having a personal squabble. I would have taken that in stride. I may have not loved it. I'm like, okay, at least there's that. I don't have that. My point is. So when I really think about it, I'm like, this is actually the worst fight that's ever happened. There's no reason for it. There's no good reason for it. There's no consequences. I wasn't even entertained. I honestly remember my channel struggling a lot during this fight because we had nothing to talk about because they've just been doing this for like 8 weeks and it's not interesting. You know that guy, that African dude that holds his hands out when people do a bunch of stupid things
Yeah,
complicatedly, he does
yeah,
it very simple. That's what Bam was
yeah,
doing in the air, bro. He has his hands out like this. And Shinshu was
yep.
flying at White, and White's just wiggling, jiggling, trying to not die. It's just
My thing is too is if you want to quote unquote portray a dark change and you're not gonna do it with the artistry, then you should do it with dialogue. And he didn't do that either. If you want me to believe that instead of me having to hear theories from readers in comment sections and people trying to put together the
rationalize.
pieces, rationalize why it changed, SIU could have just put on the paper, Bam talking and saying things,
Yep.
whether it be out loud to White himself or like, what if Bam was running around calling White a bastard and this, that, and the other stuff that he normally never does?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I can at least be like, it probably still would move me, but at least I'd be like, okay, well, there's something on the paper where Bam is talking a lot in this fight. He's cussing, he's very angry, like, he just yelling. He's like, no, you have to die. He gotta die. Like, he didn't even do that. Like, even with when he changed to Vincent, not really.
Yeah, he was like, and SCU has a lot of these very jarring moments, and it's like I read the story. You didn't like, like I know what's like, I know what's going on, Bam is living and breathing. Living and breathing cinnamon bun. What dark change is gonna happen? And the funniest part about the little black Shinsu thing too is we already know his Shinsu is black against Dada Jihad. We already seen it. Not the first time we've seen the black Shinsu, but
Right. Or he could have had a change where he even talked to Machine all crazy. He didn't do that either.
yeah, that's the thing. The dark chains, because they try to frame it as the real loss here is if Bam becomes a worse or more morally corrupt person, and that didn't happen. I don't think any of us believed it would happen. Some people were like, "What if Bam is like more ruthless?" And I'm like, "Bro,
I mean,
He's already ruthless,
you could
man.
already argue. To me, to be
he's
honest,
but that what you about to say, I think, is more framed from a leadership position where he has to own the actions he's taken, not that you're a bad person because now these people are dying in this war. You want to go save Hajin Sung, this is the aftermath. You have to accept that. That's more so what they're telling him, not like, you know what I'm saying. But go, sorry, let me cut you.
no, you're
Cut you
gonna
off.
get the closest thing that Bam got to that quote unquote dark change is when we were in the cage, and he saw Ding Ding die or whatever, and he was just like, "Do I even care? Like, or do I care that this guy died?" Like, that's the closest he been to a dark change. He was like, it was like the first person for almost the entire series where he's like, "I'm not sure if I care if this person is gone or not."
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there's like none of that happening. Like, it should have been some moment to represent like, oh, he stopped caring about these things or these people, or he's talking to people crazy, even his own friends.
The
Like,
darkness is taking over. Sorry.
yeah, there's none of that because, like I said, at least that's evidence on the paper.
Yeah.
There's no evidence on the paper, like you said. They do that. They look at Vizite and they be like, "Oh, is he still white in there?" Then they move on, and then Machine give them a new mission, and they go do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say another thing is because I think it was kind of almost implied that they like Khun and them held back the information about Archiraptor and White, and he doesn't even confront them on that. Like, there's no like tension there. There's like there's no dark change like between their friendship or anything. There's nothing there. Like, he just beats White randomly and he goes on his day. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man.
There's nothing there.
I do think like this is one of those weird things where this is where real life kind of comes into contact with storytelling. But I do think with certain characters that you set up a certain way, you kind of have an obligation to send them off in a respectable manner. I do think you can subvert that, and it works sometimes. I tend to use Anise Monogatari final confrontation with Koyomi and Kaiki a lot as one of my moments where I like that it didn't end up becoming what it was. But I see the thing about it is I hate people who subvert just to do it. Have a reason, but don't just do it to do it. So I do think you can do that. But honestly, I just think that the white fans got done dirty. Just like this is not how you expected somebody who did one of the most devious things in the tower to go out. You just didn't see it coming like this. I don't think you
That's the
have
run of
to
the story.
always send them off into the grand faction. And for what we know, maybe White comes back later on, takes over the body again, or he helps Vincent inside, whatever the case is. But that's not moving me personally. I don't know,
Nah,
bro.
my thing is why it was too important not to give out a grand ending if he was gonna die. I
And
mean,
he's
he
the only
didn't.
second generation Slayer we have, right?
See, but even more than
Other
that,
than
like,
Yama.
or even regardless of position,
No,
he's like
Yama's
the
third
first, like,
generation,
he's
Oh,
like
okay.
the first real giant antagonist that
right?
Bam has had the entire series.
Mm.
Like, as far as just like recurring, like Jaha obviously is the ultimate plan, but why was the very first person who popped up on page where we just like, oh, this guy might actually be a problem.
He'd been the best villain in the story up until that point too.
Yeah, because like
And it wasn't even
we
close.
felt like that when Karaka first appeared on page, but even then we didn't feel Karaka necessarily towards for Yuri because they set it up like that. They were like, oh, he's gonna be Yuri's biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
White was Bam's biggest problem, always had been. And even though they sidelined him, he still, he was still a problem. He gained all that power, got all beautiful, all sorts of stuff. Like, nah. So like, yeah, if he was gonna go, and for me personally, what I thought I was gonna see was some instance of like Bam winning the fight, but White quote unquote winning the war. Like,
Because he
White's
corrupts
like,
it.
you, yeah, like White's like, you beat me, but I see you in hell, nigga. Like,
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the bottom, because
Mm-hmm.
like I messed you up. I killed your friends, and there's nothing you
Mm-hmm.
could do about it. That didn't happen either. So
fight shouldn't have just not happened.
Is that true? I might be off on that. I'm gonna check.
I'm
Actually.
fairly certain Yama is second because he was a Slayer before White was.
Was he? You know what? That would
Was
make
he?
sense.
Yama's the
No,
he was the seventh.
I can't say this on this stream, but no, something you said that made it obvious. No, you're right. You're right. He
Yeah.
probably is. Yeah, yeah. That's on me. Then my bad. For some reason,
Interesting.
no. You know what? I remember the mistake I'm making. I'm mistaking Cal Helm's statement. Okay, I remember because he said your power is on par with those of the
Equivalent.
first generation. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm mistaking that. Okay, I didn't remember that correctly. That's my fault. Yeah.
Nah, but anyway, okay. So I was trying to move past this fight. So what I think is the worst fight in the series, even though that is the worst fight in the series, but if I had to put a second place, I think it's Varagov versus Bam. Awful.
Anything to do with Baragov is bad.
The rematch,
Yeah,
like on season 3 when season 3 starts.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I told y'all that nigga was getting packed. Y'all didn't
No,
believe
no,
me.
no. We knew you were right. By that time, I definitely knew. But I'm
Mhm.
just saying that, like, and the reason it's bad is kind of for the same reason that White versus Bam is bad. It's like the stakes you kind of put into Varagov as a character, and you made him seem like he was gonna be like mega important and hot shit. And that's one reason why I didn't want the progression to be so quick the way it was. And everybody's like, we're 500 chapters in. You should be fighting rankers. But my thing is that I don't know what chapter length has to do with the setup of your story. I've never understood that. But that's something that readers are just like, oh, you already got a certain length of time in here, so we should just be doing shit already without regards to context of what's going on in the story. But anyway, yeah, Varagov was one of those characters that made it seem like he was always gonna be a rival for Bam, and then that nigga just did not matter.
I don't.
Like, what's the point of you telling us that like he's a top cage fighter and he's a mad dog and he got potential to be? Because to me, he could have just been one of those characters that at least could have been a really good setup to get to the cage. Like, if you can't even deal with Varagov or you struggle with Varagov, how you gonna deal with more upper tier people in the cage? That was not the case. Stunk. Honestly, he should have just died. There's no point of him being around.
I mean, at that point, you should have honestly just let Endorsey beat his ass and fucking.
Or yeah, or something.
That's what I was gonna say because like when she dropped him from how high she dropped him, it was more to make it look like, wait a minute, this guy's fighting a jihad princess still OD. He's the strongest E rank. Yada yada yada. Nah, bro, none of that matters. It doesn't
Honestly, would have
matter.
liked to have just seen the two of them fight. I feel like we got hoed out of that.
Mm-hmm.
With all the
Yeah,
hype for the top 5 regulars, like we did not get to see Endorsey or Baragov do really anything in that arc.
we haven't got to see a lot of people do anything. We haven't seen Anak have a real fight outside of Rand.
That's why I'm saying I think the majority of what's bad about it is not even the fights that are bad; it's the fights that don't happen that should.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying with that. That makes sense.
When's the last time Rack had a fight?
Lol.
He doesn't. He kind of beat up a Korean Riddler.
Hold on. He threw that speed.
Is getting off screened by Inieta count?
Through the spirit white. Shout out to my guy Rack. Even though I had
fighting.
even though the
magician
game the game
hair
with
guy
Sebastian the Crab automatically
Yeah.
automatically locked on for him. But yeah,
Does fighting Twink Riddler count?
with rock throw and stone edge, I guess.
Yeah.
Baccarat food. Now the Baccarat thing is well taken because it's one of those things where I wonder, is it because he retconned the whole story of Amor and Yama that as a result the Mad Dogs became less important because the story is completely different? You know what I'm saying?
That other Mad Dog and Dollar Show had more fights than Baragov.
See, this is why I say the
But-
blog post completely changed your perception of the entire series.
Yeah.
Like, people who just read this series without that level of time of investment as far as talking about those type of things, they're never gonna care about that type of stuff. They go, "Oh, what are y'all talking about? I thought everything that happened was just fine." I still think that's silly, but they do have a point with some things because if you never knew any of those things existed about the retcons, the constant retcon, well, of course you wouldn't care. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't think Varagov was gonna matter that much. You just saw him as some dude who had a semi cool design, and You know,
You
he
set
was
him
just a
up, you know,
problem.
because remember when they're E ranks, he's one of the strongest. Blah blah, Mad Dogs, Immort, Yama, Cage, this and that, and the other. And then the Endorsey thing happens. The reason, one of the main reasons, even by that point, I was starting to understand, like to some degree, like how we're going to be writing Bam, especially post Jihad. But I'm like, I've already seen him body one of y'all. And he just went and trained for 2 years. You're not beating him. Move from my sight. You're wasting my time. That's how I took it. I knew he wasn't going to be able to do nothing to him. But
Y'all remember Chang?
yeah, he's
One of the
dead.
top five
He's
fucking.
fucking. Didn't he fucking die? Didn't he get sniped by in the cage arc? He's dead with tall
Yeah.
venti. I swear he died. With,
One of the worst.
didn't Quattro
That
Blitz?
motherfucker did nothing.
Was
One
it
of the
Quattro Blitz
worst
with him?
deaths.
And he like got sniped. Hold on, we'll
Yeah,
find it. Go ahead. Go ahead. My bad. Didn't cut
yeah,
you
it's
off.
one of the worst deaths because
He got so much hype and did nothing the whole series.
People were saying he's the third Mad Dog. I remember. Hold on. They hold him.
Nah, it was such a bad death because you said it because you want to show rankers are actually better. Like you got to take rankers seriously.
Yeah,
and now the
yeah,
next
yeah.
arcs is pretty much showing rankers are not shit. Just killed them off for
Oh,
no
this is the guy
reason.
that I saw in the cage. I don't know.
Bring them back. Hashtag shut up and Khun.
It was right here. Yeah. I shall give him freedom. Boom. Enjoy our Chang.
Yeah, when he
He's
got
gone.
killed by the
Yeah.
Starbucks trio. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Oh, and he got killed by Venti Tallin Grande. He never liked that nigga. He never liked him. That's just disrespectful. That's just tragic. Do any of y'all dislike Yama
Should have been
and
Karaka.
Vanikel versus Kel Helm? I know Kel Helm is a clown, but I thought the fight was at least kind of clean to look at.
I mean,
It's not moving.
No,
It's not
I don't
moved. He's
believe.
unmoved. It's okay. He's unmoved. He's unmoved. Shoot. Rocket's a comedian now that Bozo needs to go home. Kel Helm was basically SIU in his blogs. Oh, low key. Forgot the rematch. The curious case of Cal Helm. Hey, he knows the title of the video. So I like to see. Do you all like Bam versus
Fuck that
Bull CR
photo.
Elliot? It was a better fight for me. I think it's better. Elliot kind of got packed though. I don't, so it's okay. Let me see. So much hype did nothing. I feel like a lot of characters can relate to this. The Cage arc is a travesty. Yeah, Cage arc is not hitting. But
Shout out
I
Ding
think
Ding.
Glam, what you're saying is well taken. A lot of the fights that probably were set up that we thought we were gonna get, that doesn't really happen. Those are a bit of a disappointment. But
Rack versus Iniesta is probably top one in that group.
that
to be
fight
honest.
did deserve to get played out. There was no reason for that. Honestly, I couldn't think of any reason for that. Do you sometimes think he didn't want to showcase the powers of Haigh-Rankers too early, which is why he did some of the nonsense he did? But then now he's just like, whatever, I'll do whatever
I don't know what the fuck he was doing, bro.
I don't think I like. Listen, there's a lot of series that I read where the power scaling isn't perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this is one of the few series where I'm like, it's so wonky. I don't know. I can't do anything until the fight's over, and I can just try to analyze what happened in retrospect. That's the best I can do. Like, okay, maybe he won because he like.
Yeah.
That's all I got. That's all I got at
Just
this
trying to
point.
rationalize it.
I can't do it before the fights anymore, especially since I think SIU was trying to somewhat. Maybe he never established this, and maybe this was just us as a community assuming that power was the most important thing when it came to ranking. But I'm starting to believe influence and recognition matter far more than power do, or at least have a bit of a extra like leeway or more weight there. Because I think of Evan. I do not for a fact think Evan is stronger than a lot of the combatants that we're seeing on this floor. But Evan is a really good silver dwarf and well known, right? So he's up there. Cause I don't think he's stronger than Yuri. Yuri's a princess, wielder of the 13 month, and all those things, and she's still not. She's still only like top 500. And Van Kel dropped from 60 to I think outside the 300 solely from losing her floor ruler position. And
It
so a
may
lot
also have to do with the specific floor that Ivanka was ruling as well, because the
could be
testing floor is super
yeah,
important.
that's pretty important. You're right, because that's where the regulars become regulars. So you're right. I didn't think about that actually. Good point. But I think I don't know. I do think also the introduction of a blue holes or him trying to find another tier of strength he can draw from. So perhaps he's just trying to restructure the power system in this, but I think it's super wonky. I never know who could do what. Like to the point where I'm surprised when certain things happen. I was surprised Chian Hiha's demon fan was gonna kill Han Sung Yu in the last station. But then against a local be a family head candidate, he's actually completely not outclassed. But Haracha gives you a little bit of trouble. Like I don't even know how to scale that nigga. So it's weird. It's weird.
At this point, the ranks should just be power consistent because then if the influence is like 60-40, then that's like there's no way to really tell who should be placed where at that point.
I feel that.
Unless you're in the top 20.
Mm-hmm. Where's my Dolan slander video? I'm still holding on to me. I do gotta make that. I've been focused on some other stuff and editing, but you're all right. On Goggle, I think the one important enough to deserve a video. I think she might get one, but it might be quick. Might be 3 minutes of slander. You know what's bad, Power Scaling? Because we're on the 52nd floor, and to include tension, you need a family head. Oof. Oof. Does anyone remember what happened to the guy who absorbed Handyman? It seemed he got hyped for nothing. Wait, the guy who absorbed Handyman? What do you thought? Who's that? Am I
Who the fuck is
am I a
Handyman?
fool? Oh wait, you talking about the guy with the dark skin with the curse, what Arya and those guys are a part of? I think you're talking about him. I don't. I think he getting packed by the Highbrinder or something like that. Maybe I don't know. Doan, I think he misspelled moron G. Well, I can feel that. I'll argue that the only reason Yuri is so low because she doesn't have as much influence. Exactly. Maybe my understanding is Yuri sometimes doesn't listen, so maybe that's keeping her as low as it is. But I really don't think power is the most important thing anymore. I really don't. I could be wrong though. I think it should be. I think influence and recognition should matter. But what if I'm weak? I cannot fight, but I'm good scientist. Do I get to be
Power
top
should
100?
make up like
Yeah.
70% of your ranking.
Like if Vince is like, yo, he created this one machine that everyone in the tower uses, but he don't fight. Is he top 100? Like, how does that work? I guess so.
Nah.
I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. The best fight will be Tura versus Yasracha. Now, you see, you're thinking. He's thinking ahead. He's thinking a frame ahead. But I think that's all we got for good and bad fights. You can move on to good and bad moments. Well, I could say that for another stream actually. Oh, I'm dropping frames like a bitch. What the fuck? Sorry about that. I did not know I was dropping frames like that. I did not. Jesus Christ. We back? We good? I think we're good. But yeah, we talked about all the fights that I think kind of matter. I'm trying to think of any little quick skirmishes or scuffles that were cool. Like, you guys know at this point because of the video I made, I think the Bam versus Red clash is horrible in hindsight.
That shit sucked.
I think the Rand versus the tower, the little guardian thing, when they're trying to get to the train, I think that was
good.
cool.
That was good.
Yeah, with
like
Daniel.
And Rand was around. Rand was around. That was good.
Man, he legitimately my favorite character. Not only for his personality, because I just think he's funny as shit. Kind of like how you think Mio loves funny as shit, but I think Rand's just funny because he just like. Well, why y'all keep talking? But like, I think like we say this all the time. Rand showcasing compared to everybody else's in his peer class don't make no sense. Like
he's the most versatile, well trained regular that we've seen, in my opinion. I can't
just
count Bam,
everything he does. Yeah. Just everything he does with him make like even his fight versus Inueta, his callbacks to shit that Machini told him. Like it's not that hard to do this shit on the paper. That's what I be talking about. Like that's legit a perfect way how you do that. We've never seen him and Machini have this conversation or anything like that. So what did he do? He called back to it. He was like, "Oh, you remember that time when Machini told you that if you fighting somebody from the R family, there's only two ways: tank the hit, or what was the other way? I forgot, but you know, you get it.
Yeah.
Fucking.
She's like,
or hit him with a stronger attack.
Don't really try to dodge it. To brace yourself, take the hit, and hit him with something stronger. And I said, damn.
Like that shit was raw. Why can't we do that with the other niggas, man? And why can't they have some different showcasing uniqueness? Like and like Rand, even though he learned all his from most of the techniques from Machini, they're all Machini style moves. But
yeah,
at least there's versatile creativity to it. The man got he uses items, he uses Shinsu skills. He uses hand-to-hand combat. I'm like, bro, this is what I be asking. I'm not asking anything from this series that hasn't already been done, that hasn't already been showcased in one way or another. It's just that it's just so jarring and shocking to me the levels of which other characters are not allowed for this to happen. I don't know. Is it just too time consuming? I
Like,
don't
an
get it.
example of a character who should be like that is Endorsi, for like with the amount of aptitude that she's shown in basically every facet of combat. She just like she was out here doing just regular Shinsu blasts, and then didn't do anything else when she was like, what was it, season 1? She was doing some shit and then like out here fighting. I can't remember his name.
She
But
was using swords. She was beating people in hand-to-hand
and then
combat. Like,
she picked up her Shinsu quality faster than Bam, Khun, and Rack put together.
yeah, me and
So-
Matt, me and I used to talk about that all the time. Where he used to have that little thing where
The
he said Bam
statement
is
where
not the
he's
most
not the most
talented.
talented. Yeah, sure. Though.
Yeah, that's what we used to always come at. I'm like, she completely like figured out hers in seconds, like, or not seconds, but you get it. But she
Yeah.
figured it out super quick.
She
He
figured it
figured
out
out her
fast.
quality and then never even used it.
But he used to
That was the
also
other
do
thing.
small things like it's really hard to keep up with Dorsey without using Shinsu boost. Like he used to slip in things like that, the little tidbits, the nuance.
Yeah,
It's not there no more, bro. None of it matters anymore. At the rate.
yeah, none of it matters anymore. We gotten to a level where just none of this shit matters.
And back on the Machete thing too, with credit to Rand, I think he did a really good job too because I think part of the reason that he showcased the data Machete is to showcase somebody similar to Rand, kind of on the come up too, because his goal is to take out Machete. I thought he did a good job with that too because I felt like her placement there was very purposeful. But
Yeah, and I thought it was really good. She was fighting somebody above her weight class,
and it's a
but
good way
he
to
showed her.
showcase what they were doing without necessarily needing like a traditional flashback. It's like this is a rank Machete. It's like this is her data when she was here. Like that's a cool way to show off how strong somebody was. Like he has, I don't know, man. I think you put it the best. We're not asking him to do anything we have not already experienced.
Yeah, it's
Case
not
in
like we're
point.
asking for this series to be something that it wasn't. That's always my problem, beef with people with this series.
Mhm.
I've cooled off, to be honest, like a lot. Like I ain't read no Raws in a while, but
Bad moment is when Karaka is worried about Jin Sung's health. That's a bad moment.
no, we're not gonna talk. We good. We are good.
I was so hyped when she said little brother, power of flashbacks done right. Look how strong his sister and brother were in the data world. Mainline Khuns are wild. I always believed that the most of Bam's potential was from him being the son of two family heads rather than his irregular status. It could be a combination of all of those things. I guess that's well taken. I never actually thought about that portion of it, but that's well taken. But I do. I mean, I made the video speaking about it, but the reason why I don't like when people just run to the irregular thing because I don't think people understand the real reason. Like the result because the rules don't apply to you will make irregulars busted and broken in the end game, but they're not broken solely because the rules don't apply to them, right? Sorry, they're not broken just for broken sake. They're broken because it's the equivalent of us all playing a sport like soccer, and I can handball. I can just pick it up and run. What are you gonna do? You can't hit me because you kick me, it's a foul, but I could pick the ball up and fucking throw it in the net. That doesn't mean that Glam hasn't trained nice and he's nice, even though he's only using his feet. It doesn't take that away from him. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be much easier for me to excel because I'm doing a fucking handball. He gonna ask the
Right.
ref to do shit. I don't have to ask the ref to do nothing. Fuck the administrator. You see what I'm saying? Like people don't take the actual reasoning for why they end up becoming broken. They just see the end result. Enryu, Fanta, whatever, broken. Therefore, Bam must be.
You see, I was just gonna say. I said we gotta stop. Like they're irregulars, but the comparisons between Bam and the other irregulars gotta stop because as far as we know, all of them had combat skills and like super lives before they even got there. Before they even got in the tower. Like we don't know how strong Iryu was before he got into the tower. He might have already been broken. The tower just made him more broken. Same thing with Jihad and his people. Like they were already like adventurers and experience of some kind. We just don't know like exactly what, but we know they had some level of experiences and stuff already. Straight from the fact that they were adults too, like
Mm-hmm.
mega adults already. Like Bam basically started from zero. I'm not saying that's not saying that like he couldn't grow super fast, but I really think it would have been important for him to show some lust to lose first times without doing so. I know it's just like, oh, that's how you try to balance showing his potential all the time with him, growing and not overcoming people. But I'm just like, you don't gotta be afraid to show Bam losing. Like losing because of inexperience is not a bad thing. And I thought that was what
Yeah.
was gonna happen in this series. I didn't think Bam was going to be losing to people because he was weaker than them. I never really thought that. I
No.
thought he'd be losing because I thought he'd be playing on playing fields that were not to his advantage to make up for his irregular status, especially when everybody's supposed to know by now that he's an irregular. I still don't understand that either. Like people have seen other irregulars. If we go by what everybody talks in the comment section, and everybody's like, "Oh, an irregular is supposed to do this." So if they've already dealt with irregulars before and they know a regular is coming to do this, then why don't they have like at least try to make contingency plans against people potentially like this coming in the tower? They don't even try to make level playing fields or try to put their people in good position where they would have an advantage versus Bam. That don't happen. Like I said, the only time that happens is when he fight Elaine. She's not. She wasn't stronger than him. She wasn't probably stronger than a lot of people who came into the namehood station. But what happened? The namehood station had rules. It had things that if you didn't know, you were going to lose. Wasn't Dorsey weaker than her? No,
Probably not.
or maybe a little, or probably a little bit, but not like a lot. But she lost because she didn't know the rules.
Exactly. You're talking about it, bro. Now I wanted
That's
games.
all I
We got
be
the
asking.
cat tower. Oh, leave me alone, dog. Leave me alone. This is not what I asked for. This fake ass Mario Party board shit. If Rachel's an irregular, I'm whooping her. They
Yeah,
don't
and
even care about the regulars now. They be talking about access at the tower. Like, well, I don't know, bro. It is what it is. Again, this story had a clear and obvious paradigm shift that I think a lot of people are being, as Vince would say, obtuse about. I'll be honest, but hey, but
it's all good. Like I said, I don't really like we just because I'm reminiscing. I'm being nostalgic, but like
nah, I'm about to
honestly, at this
switch the
point, I'm
title
just kind of
and talk
I'm
about
with Nye. It is
Verse.
what it is.
Yeah,
I'm cool. What's going on right now?
yeah,
I'm cool with Machine barking out orders, telling them to go do new shit. Cause I still like the lore and shit in the tower. That's really what I'd be here for. I'd be like, oh, what's about to get revealed? What mystery coming up next? Then I'd be happy. Then what, like the other stuff? Yeah, I don't
yeah.
really care like that.
All right, everyone, refresh the page. Oh, we got a new email coming, by the way.